Raw is over. Let's talk about it. Obafemi and Brock Lesnar were both on the show, but since they didn't sign the contract last week, it was kind of lame this week because they just signed the contract separately. It was kind of lame. I wish that one of them interrupted the other while they were trying to sign the contract. I don't think this really felt like the go-home episode of Raw before WrestleMania. Yes, they both signed the contract. And also, I'd like to add, Triple H was out there for when both of them signed the contract for no reason! He didn't say a word. He did not add anything to the segment. He did absolutely nothing except stand there and stroke his ego. So that kind of just pissed me off. He's literally just putting himself into this feud to give himself attention. The crowd was really good during Obafemi's entrance. Even though this wasn't a very good episode for their feud, I'm still unbelievably excited for their match at WrestleMania. And also, Obafemi, when he came out to sign the contract, he was interrupted by Paul Heyman, and he actually cut a pretty great promo on Paul Heyman. I really think they should have had Brock and Oba talk just one time to... it didn't even have to be a long promo. I just wanted a little promo between them. But we didn't get that, which is okay. And Obafemi is so good on the mic. We need more Obafemi promos, please. Next, we had a match between Charlotte Flair and Lyra Valkyria. And Charlotte Flair actually took a loss. Lyra Valkyria got a win, and that's a pretty big win for her. I don't know why they just keep alternating between Bayley and Lyra winning and losing. But yeah, they did. Bayley helped Lyra win by rolling Charlotte Flair so she could get the roll up, giving her momentum and leverage and stuff. I'm really liking that they're doing this thing with Bayley and Lyra are doing anything to win. I think they should lean into that storyline more. Hopefully they just don't go back to having them take losses. I think this was the right decision because Bayley just took a loss last week. And then after the match, we had a bit of a scuffle between the two teams. And I'm very excited for this women's tag match at WrestleMania. And as of this episode, the Bellas were still advertised. But it's reported that the Nikki Bella injury is too close to call right now, which is pretty freaking risky. Next, we had a brawl between Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer. This was a really good brawl, even with the security out there. It looked like they really hated each other, and Liv, was fucking screaming at the top of her lungs, and she sold it so well. I'm very excited for their match at WrestleMania. Overall, I think this was a pretty good segment. Then we had a backstage segment with LA Knight, and the Usos, along with the MFTs, just randomly showing up on Raw. And that gave us a match between those two teams. The three members of MFT competing were Solo, Tongaloa, and JC Mateo. Tama Tonga showed up during the match. He wasn't there with all the segments with MFTs, but he showed up during the match and stared down with Solo, and then that allowed LA Knight to hit a BFT on Bachaloa himself, the infamous Bachaloa, and pick up the win. Yeah! Which I think was needed after taking a loss to Austin Theory last week. I think this was the right decision. I don't know why they just randomly had this match, but it was a fun match. Kyrie! Sorry, did I destroy your eardrums? Good. We had a backstage segment with Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane, which led us to a match between Kairi and Io, which, yes, it was a dirty win, but it allowed Kairi Sane to pick up a win over Io Sky, which is huge for Kairi Sane. It was obvious she didn't want to go against Io, but I think this was great for Kairi. Jade also came out during the match and tried to interfere with Io, and then Rhea came out, made the save, whatever. And after the match, Io was pissed that she lost, and it seems like we're just having her take losses to everybody now, because she lost to Jade Cargill last episode of SmackDown, or the episode before. I'm not exactly sure. She lost recently to Jade Cargill and now is taking a loss to Kairi Sane, which, I mean, it's kind of getting buried. But she was pissed after the match. I don't know what this is leading to, but I'm excited to see where it goes. Next, there's not much to really talk about with this match, except the fact that it was an absolute heater, a banger, between Dragon Evans and, what did I call him? I called him Rudana or something. I don't know. But Dragon Lee and Javon Evans ended up picking up the win, and I love this match. I can't wait for the ladder match. Next, we had the main event segment between Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and I thought this was actually pretty underwhelming, because Roman came out, said, "Sacramento, acknowledge me," or whatever, and then CM Punk came out, like, thinking he's Jey Uso coming through the crowd, whatever, and then CM Punk was saying the truth, like, the entire time and stuff, and it was all dramatic, and then he basically just said, I'm gonna beat you, and Roman said, "No, I'm gonna beat you." That's basically the entire premise of this whole promo, which I think is pretty fucking lame. We went from violence the past 3 weeks to just, or 2 weeks, I don't know. We were in the violent brawl stage. That's where we were. And we took a backward step to promos. So I was expecting, oh, this is going to be a really good promo. Roman's going to call AJ a hoe. He's going to talk about Larry. CM Punk's going to insult the bloodline more. But no, it was just a lame promo saying, I'm going to beat you. No, I'm going to beat you. I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way, but I felt very underwhelmed with this segment. This did not feel like the go-home of WrestleMania. This should have been much more intense. Roman should have took deeper cuts. Punk should have took deeper cuts. And then it should have ended in a huge brawl. That's how it should have played out, but we just got a promo. But yeah, let me know if you feel the same way about this, because I did not feel happy or satisfied with this segment at the end. But let me know your thoughts on this episode of Monday Night Raw. And just a note, it seems that Liv Morgan is okay, because she didn't have the bump on her head anymore, and she was getting very physical with Stephanie, so that's great. Looking like she's going to be okay. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, and